Hey there, so today we have another review, and this is a beer from Boroughs in Brooklyn. This is their IPA, but it is not a standard IPA. That is a West Coast style IPA. So actually, if you go to the brewery and you check out the menu, it says West Coast IPA. Here it simply says IPA, 6.8%, and it makes sense. If you are a New Yorker and you go to a brewery and you want to try their IPA, you'd assume it'd be a New England style or something hazy, and obviously they have to tell you if it's going to be West Coast style. And just a random thought off the top of my head, I mean, like, it has to be something like Boston and New York, size-wise at least, have to be like haze cities, right? I guess Burlington could count, but like Burlington's very small, so I'm just thinking about like larger size cities that have it. Then again, all these states have it. Vermont is the kingdom and the progenitor of New England style IPA, but then it's everywhere now. It's not only New England, but it's all over the country. But talking about this beer specifically, we're not talking about haze, we're talking about relatively clear beer, a little bit light hill haze on here. Beer comes in a medium gold color. Let's get the aroma. Whew. That is dank. Yeah. Yeah, I guess not quite weed dank. It's more of that cat pee dank thing going on. A lot of cat pee going on. A little bit of pine. Maybe a little bit of grapefruit. Yeah, but that is pungent. It's, you know, almost like dankness, but turned sour, so it's like cat pee very forward. Rounded with that malt quality driving there, a little bit of sweetness. Cheers. Or smells sweet at least. It's like malt. Anyway, on the palate, wow. Well-made beer. Whoa. So actually on this tour, the person actually bought me and my driver on a tour. They actually paid for this beer as a tip. So that's really nice of them. But they're actually from San Diego, and they had this beer there. They smelled it like, whoa, that's straight San Diego. And they really enjoyed this beer. And actually a lot of people have enjoyed this beer. But speaking about this beer in general, it's awesome. Up front, it has that kind of light sugary quality that I get from crystal malt, but it actually doesn't ride too sweet. It shows its hops in the middle. It has a combination of more of that cat pee quality. It has some resin, a little bit of like bitter herbaceous, and actually bitters out quite nicely. So I really like the fact that the malt doesn't dominate that pure bitterness that this beer has. It's a very nice and clean bitterness, if that makes any sense. Yeah, what it is, it's just a medium to medium plus. It's moderate. It sits on the palate. It doesn't go too far, and it doesn't linger on the mouth. It lingers, but it doesn't last to a point that you don't want it anymore. It just sort of like lays a base tone of bitterness so that you want to keep drinking more. I get a little bit of fruitiness. I get a little bit of that kind of grapefruit bitterness, classic West Coast style. This is a great example of West Coast style. Granted, I haven't had that many this year, I want to say, because A, they don't come that fresh to New York. B, I'm not seeking them. And C, they're not really locally available. So this is actually one of the best West Coast style IPAs I've had all year, and it's honestly a style that I've been wanting to see more. I like diversity in IPAs. I want to push some bitterness back onto my palate, and I want to rediscover those beers that I remember enjoying early on. And this is a pure and fine example of West Coast style IPA, and it's really unfortunate that Boroughs is not known for IPA because, or just not as hyped as a brewery, but this is great. And I'd like to see this side by side with the Haze Bros, with the other half in Interborough and KCBC and Finback, blah, blah. You know, I'd like to see those breweries do this kind of style of beer because there's a reason why people enjoyed it for so long. I mean, we're talking about like 20 years of West Coast style IPA being the dominant style. And it's absolutely delicious. This is a great can of beer. 94. Darwin giving West Coast style IPA, clear IPA, 94. Fantastic. Absolutely awesome. And I mean, I know some people have commented recently like, oh, you're giving like all these breweries like a lot of preference. Like, I've no, whatever you call it. I've no play in the game of Boroughs. If anything, I could say, I'm not going to go there. Until next time, guys, cheers. Later.